beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to start some herb seeds and tomato seeds. It is still a little bit early to start some of these things. Herbs, not so much. Tomatoes, probably about like 7 days early. But what I'm thinking is that last year my starts were kind of a little bit puny going out when I started them directly on time. So I'm going to start them just a tad bit earlier just to make sure that they have a good bit of, just so that they're a bit bigger, and hopefully we'll get more yield out of them. I'm not sure, it's just an experiment, don't take my word for it. But over here we have some herb seeds. So I have to go through these and figure out which ones we are starting today, because obviously we're not going to be starting all of them. So just give me 1 second. Well, for the herbs, we're going to use this cell tray. I'm probably going to need to pot them up at some point, but this is what we're going to start them in to kind of establish their roots. Something that I learned the hard way is that you should start your seeds in a smaller cell and not just automatically put them in the big pot, just to establish more of a root structure. And it makes your plant overall pretty healthy if you have to pot them up. Now that's different for some plants that don't like their roots disturbed, but for things that we start indoors, like tomatoes and peppers, it's better off to start them in something smaller and then work your way up into something bigger. I have a variety of seeds here. We're going to start off, I have some from Baker Creek and then some that are about 4 years old that I should probably start using. But we have some of your staples like lavender, cilantro, tarragon, chamomile, however you say it, and cumin, and we have many more over here. So let's just kind of get into it. Now, with most herb seeds, they're quite small, and I always kind of used to struggle with, how do I know how deep to plant them? Like, would I just like stick my finger in to like this knuckle here and then plant the seed? For some reason, we all had that kind of idea, and it's a lot shallower than what you actually think. So even on this seed packet, it says 1/8 inch deep. That's not deep at all. That's practically on the surface. I'm gonna take some of my lavender here. I'll make sure the soil is all pre-soaked, so that we don't have to water it after, and we don't have to disturb any seeds. But as you can see, these seeds are quite tiny, to the point where you could probably not see them on my hand. What we're gonna do is just pop them in on top of the soil. I don't put them any sort of space apart. I can always thin them later. But yeah, I kind of just move the soil around for lavender seeds because they're so tiny. Kind of like the rule of thumb is you plant the seed twice as deep as the seed is wide. The seeds were like tinier than a pen tips. So now that I've planted this cell with lavender, I'm just going to write down on a tag the variety of lavender, just so that if it does really well in my area and in my zone, then I know what variety it is for the future. So I'm just gonna stick this in the corner here, and then it's just as simple as that. Herbs are a little bit more difficult, I find, just because the seeds are quite a bit smaller. But these cumin seeds are a lot bigger, and we're just gonna pat out that soil again, and I'm just gonna put 2 in each cell, just in case if one doesn't germinate, then you have backup and you're not waiting for one to germinate. Just need one more. What I'm doing this year is I'm going to do a vegetable garden with some herbs mixed in, and then a dedicated herb and tea garden. Something I've always wanted to do, but I just never had the space for it until this year. So I will be planting a lot more herbs than I normally do. Typically, honestly, I usually just get a couple starts from the local nursery, and that's about it. This year I will have so much more space and it'll be so much better. So you don't even have to use your finger. I could just press these into the soil. Now, I used to just plant the whole tray and then write the markers, and then I'd forget what's in the tray. So we're just gonna do each tag after we plant so nothing gets forgot. Next I have a German chamomile, or chamomile, however you want to say it. This one is going to be for tea. Very excited. I really enjoy chamomile tea. Oh my goodness. Too many. Okay. So this is 1/16 of an inch deep. Now, typically once it gets like that, it's pretty much to me like a surface sow. Just because I don't think many people could do 1/16 and get it right. And I think that it can be difficult to kind of determine how deep once the seeds get this small. These are smaller than the lavender seeds, so we're gonna make sure that, so they're in there. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna pat the soil just so that they're secure on there. And again, this is why I always pre-moisten the soil, just because if you have seeds this small, you're gonna lose them and they're gonna move around if you're watering over top, especially if you don't have a bottom watering tray. Especially if you don't have a bottom watering tray, like that's super important. So just like that. Now, with tomatoes, it's a little different. Okay. I'm going to finish planting this tray after, and I will show you how to do the tomato seeds. So I got my tomatoes here. These are all the seeds that I want to start this year. So each variety for me is going to have a different use. And although some varieties will have the same uses, there are some varieties that I probably won't eat fresh. So there's some stuck together here. Now, these cells are very small, and I don't expect my tomato plants to stay in these cells for very long at all. In fact, I already have the next pots to pot them up because I'm already ready for that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take one of these seeds and place them, and take two of each seed, make sure that I plant those in there just to ensure that I get the best germination rate. And then once they have their first true sets of leaves, I will then pull them out of the cell tray and separate them so that each tomato plant has its own pot, and each tomato plant has its own space, and they will have ample space to grow. All right, so that's that. That's how I plant my herb seeds. I don't really plant them that deep, and same thing with my tomatoes. So I really hope this helps you out. Hopefully you are starting some seeds too. Maybe you started them during this video. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and I can't wait to see you next time. It's crazy to think that these seeds will be planted at the farm. It seems so far away, but it's coming up, guys. It'll come soon. I actually have the countdown on my phone. So excited. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.